guys, what have I done? I bought two Farmall 140s sight unseen, and they just got delivered this evening about an hour ago. This is my first time getting to come down here and look at them. Non-running tractors out of a late man's estate. Funny story is I noticed that this sale was in the same small town in Tennessee that another auction was I attended 10 years ago. And come to find out, I asked the auctioneer, the office, and these tractors, or this particular sale, was that man's son. So 10 years ago, I attended the father's sale and actually bought 3 out of 6 of the Farmall tractors he had. And I can't remember exactly, but it's possible that these two were in that sale as well and were the ones I didn't buy. So they've come back around, it looks like, and we've got us 2 Farmall 140s. One is an international 140, and that's gonna be the industrial version. It's got a square heavy-duty axle compared to the round axle. It also has larger front tires. I believe these are gonna be 16s compared to the 515s. Okay. Yes, those are 515s on the Farmall, and then on the international, we've got the 6-ply 550 16s. So it's either 500 16s or 550 16s. And just a little note is there's barely a finger's width between the tie rod end and these tires. I've already ran into that, but it's not that big a deal. That's what it's designed for. So the industrial version could have either been painted factory international red originally. It could have been yellow. It could have been Tennessee Highway Department orange. This could be a Tennessee Highway Department tractor originally. There's really no way to tell unless we just find evidence of it. But on the industrial, see, to go along with that axle, it does have a different center steering arm than the Farmall version, okay? Other differences. You have a heavy-duty engine brace coming off the steering box casting all the way up to the torque tube, or some people call the bell housing support. That brace is to brace this engine block, since there's not a frame for the engine, and for that axle, if it were to ever hit something, it braces it right on back to the torque tube. So it's a little bit heavier duty. You can see this one, it does not have that brace, and it has a different steering box lower housing. The other difference in the international version is that you get a foot throttle along with your hand throttle, which is there. Not sure if this works. Let's see, it should. There's your foot throttle linkage. It starts here, this cast bracket, and that short linkage there going to the hand throttle. Then it comes around and it's got this cam built in here. That way you can operate your hand throttle as needed. And then you got linkage going down to this pedal under the floorboard, to this pedal. And then you can operate the foot throttle independently of the hand throttle. So wherever the hand throttle's set, you can still operate the foot throttle, and it does work. Okay. This is the first time I've seen them. I know I've mentioned it. It looks like we've got a hood, which is 200% excellent. It looks like it's very straight. Paint looks pretty decent on both of these tractors. It's had an amateur paint job in the past. hard to tell, you know, how old it is, but looks like we've got an excellent hood though. These hoods are impossible to find. They used to make them aftermarket through, I think it was either Steiner or another company that went out of business, but you can't get them anymore. The front cowl, nose piece, and grill are in excellent shape, which is almost impossible to find. Okay, moving on, we've got excellent tires, almost pretty much brand new on the front, and on this right rear is a brand new tire, BKT. It does have the incorrect seat, but honestly, it's not a bad looking seat and functioning seat because it doesn't have the sides to get in the way. We may change it, we may leave it. Looks like it's got a brand new steering wheel. This tractor was shed kept. It's a push button start with a key on off from the factory. So that tells me that this tractor is gonna be between a 64 and an early 72. Got a distributor ignition. Looks like somebody's been messing with that. So we'll need to get points. Looks like the points are missing. The points, condenser, rotor. Might as well get an ignition coil. That's just hanging. Let's check the water pump. Water pump's very tight. That's great. That's great. Let's make sure this one's not stuck. Can't turn that belt without pushing on it, so. Oh yeah, there it goes. It's not stuck at all. Okay. This looks like to be an original International muffler, and the way I can tell, it's got this skinny outlet pipe, and all your reproduction mufflers have a larger outlet. Let's see if we can find an International logo on this muffler anywhere. Could be wrong, but you don't typically find these mufflers with this size outlet. It may be on the top of the bell here. Yep, there it is. International Harvester. That's your original muffler on this tractor, which is something you don't normally see. There's your part number, 360 720 R91. I thought I identified that. Let's move around to the other side of this industrial 140. It's got some aftermarket headlights. It's not a big deal. The originals are hard to come by. Looks like it's got a Marvel Chevrolet carburetor, the big bowl, which is just fine. That's a good carb. Got the original generator system, which places it from 64 to early 72. Okay. 12-volt regulator. Battery box side, it's got one. And I think we do have some extra parts. Okay, so we've got a left-hand hazard light on the fender, factory. Don't have a right hand. Left-hand hazard light, from my research, places it around 67, 68. Is when I've seen that, noticed that those had started. Okay, so I'm gonna place it between a 68 and an early 72. Let's see if we can look the serial number up. Okay, 38427J. All right, so let's see, 38. .427J. think that's gonna be around a 68. Let's look it up and see. 38427J is a 68 model. 68 started at 37,352. So, from everything I've gathered that I have here, I have determined this is a 68 model International 140 Industrial. Does have a rear rock shaft and lift rod, which is excellent. It doesn't have anything on the rear end. It does have the tapered bolts. I see the mounting bolts. That's great. Has a right angle gearbox. It has a good tire over here that does not match the other side, but it is a great tire. The other side does have a new tire. This tractor doesn't have wheel weights on the rear or the front, which I have some. Okay. Haven't checked anything for freeze cracks or anything on the block or any welds or anything, but we can check that when it's daylight. Let's go ahead and look at the Farmall version. First glance, this Farmall 140 could very possibly have the wrong hood. Okay, this one's got the aluminum emblems, which was used on the older body style with the horizontal bar grill from 58 to early mid 63. Okay, they did use this hood and emblem on some tractors that I've seen with this body style when they carried it over and had parts left over from the production. It was either that or someone had replaced it along the lines or got it, you know, from International as a replacement. But from what I can tell, they did do some of the early 63 ones like that, or mid 63 ones like that. So it's got an excellent nose piece, grill, hood, no dents, it's not rusted out or anything. Amateur paint job, it looks pretty decent. Had a 12-volt conversion, same aftermarket headlights. Looks like new tires on the front. Has a almost full set of cultivators. It's missing, I think, 3 or 4 feet. Otherwise, it is complete. This one actually, let's see. Let's look at this, see what kind of carburetor's on this one. Oh man, this one's got the Carter UT carburetor. It's not a bad thing. It's just not the most desirable carburetor out of the 3 that they used. They used a Zenith, Marvel Chevrolet. Zenith had a cast iron body and aluminum body. Marvel Chevrolet, and then they had the Carter UTs. Used to be that you couldn't get a decent kit for a Carter, but I think I had a couple we did last 2 or 3 Carters, and they turned out just fine. But in the past, they're just not a great one. I see we're going to need some parts for the rock shaft pin retainer here. We can take care of that, not a big deal. This one's missing the choke rod. No, it's not. There it is. Okay. This one's got a very old tire, worn, weather checked. It's got diamonds on the side. This is telling me this is probably the original tire. Let's see if it's a Firestone or a BF Goodrich. 11/2/24. This is an Agri-Power tire. It's not original, but it is definitely an old tire. It's got wheel weights. It's a good thing I don't see anything boogered up with the cultivator set. Looks really good. Doesn't have the right angle PTO, which is fine. Has the original deluxe seat. Cushions in the truck. Okay, so let's see if we can identify this one before we look it up. See what kind of water pump we've got. We've got the top mounted fan water pump. Let's check it, see if it's got any play. Nope, very tight. See if the engine will turn over. See if I can. Oh yeah. Oh, it spins. Perfect. Okay. You've got something else I didn't notice on the other one I didn't mention, but this one's got the cartridge oil filter. Like the Super A's, the 100s, and this one's got a cartridge oil filter. Mid-year 72, they changed to a spin-on, unless somebody had done a field conversion themselves, which you can do. This one also is going to need a retainer for the pins. That's got either a turn-down bolt or something in it. That's not a big deal. Got the original dipstick there. It's the original engine. So with that filter, these emblems, that water pump, no battery box here. Starter has a rocker style starter, just like a Super A and a 100 and a 130. The 140 came out in 58 with a rocker style starter and a 6-volt system. When they switched over body styles in, I think it was mid 63, they changed it to the 12-volt generator system and a push button start. Well, this one's got the rocker style just like a Super A, and the dash is lining up to be looking like a 140, no extra holes. Later style light switch. Okay. It also has the spoke steering wheel with a keyed shaft here instead of a spline shaft like on that one. See the difference? This was found on the Super A 100, 130. So it changed over in the early model 140. Some of these got this, but I don't think a lot of them did. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is an early model 63. Could be wrong. But let's check our VIN and see. This one's take a little work. I can only see the J designation for the Rockford clutch. This one, see a 1.7. I have to get some paint thinner and clean this one up before we can tell, but we could also pull casting codes if we really wanted to know. I see that 1.7. I just can't make it out. So we can go right around here, pull a casting code and get me an idea on the year, if I can find one. 416 looks like the letter H. Okay. Then there's one right here that says 25H. So H, common denominator, is the year. H is looking like it's going to be common across the board here. And I will not be able to see the block cast code because it's behind everything right there. So usually see this one. Yep, 418H. So this is going to be first quarter. Those parts were cast, so this is probably going to be a summer built tractor. Let's see which cast code H stands for. Let's see. Okay, so H was in 1938. Then it repeated itself in B. Let's see. Here we go. H repeated itself in 62. So if that was cast mid-year 62, it'd be used in a 63 tractor, which is what my assumption was. It would be an early 63 tractor. It was known for these parts to sit on the shelf before they were actually used for just a few months. So we'll get her cleaned up and see what happens. They're not running. We want to see what's going on with them. This one's more complete. I'll get some parts tomorrow and we'll get started on this stuff. The distributor's complete on that one. They both need batteries. Looks like we've got some cultivator parts. Let's see if we got any tools in the toolbox. Got a little bit of hardware, not much of anything. Well, here's a good find. That's an original International Harvester hairpin, as used on cultivators. Cub rock shaft on the hydraulics used them, but that is an original authentic IH hairpin. Old shift knob. Permatex, actually still good. They need that. Anyway, so there you have it. 2 Farmall 140 tractors. I didn't mention I do have the gas tank for this one. Looks like we're probably going to need to clean it, I assume, with it being off the machine. Oh boy. Oh yeah. Not a problem though, we can take care of that. So, got more gas tanks if that one doesn't work out. Trick on a 140 though, you've got to have that bracket that turns down right there. Super A gas tank will not work. So always remember that. Let's see what we've got under here. Looks like we've got an extra choke rod, battery box side, another battery box side. That's great. Got some parts here, another coil. Like some fuel system parts, probably a carburetor kit, fuel bowl parts, hoses. The other side of that cultivator clamp that I saw was missing. That is awesome. There's a rotor button for either a Magneto or a Ford. Okay, some Case IH parts, oil seals, another cultivator clamp, a steering gear. Wow. So we got some really good parts here. So, all right, well, stay tuned to see what we're gonna do with these tractors, to see if they're actually gonna run, or if I bought lipstick on a pig and just got a bunch of junk. So please follow and like my channel, subscribe so you don't miss any more videos. See you bright and early in the morning.